Hello and welcome. My name is Leah Kopke, and this is my 3D modeling podcast, Ambient 3D Animations. Today, we're going to continue our project of 3D modeling a pinball machine. If any of you are new to my channel, you can check out the previous episodes where we started the pinball machine. Another thing to keep in mind is that I am using a lot of different tools inside of Cinema 4D. Most of these I've gone through and covered all the settings for them. So if something's a new tool and you're unfamiliar with it and you just like to learn more about that tool, I have other episodes covering many of them. So if you just search in my channel by the tool name, you should be able to find it and use that as a reference for your project if something's new to you. Just a reminder, I will be using Rocket Lasso's RKT Voxel mesher. I'm super excited to be working with this. It's really fun. It'll give us this cool cube style. It'll look kind of retro, kind of like pixelated. Today, we are focusing on making some more details for the pinball machine, as well as that little octopus on the top of it that I added into the design. So let's go ahead and get started. So here we are inside of Cinema 4D. Let's get started 3D modeling this little octopus guy at the top of it. I'm going to turn off the RKT Voxel mesher here for a moment, just so that we can see our base mesh. Also turn off the volume builder. So this was basically what we did last episode, and we need a little octopus on top. So I'm just going to start off with moving the sphere over. This will be the octopus's head. So I'm just going to move this on over. And we're being a little adventurous here. Making something new that I haven't made before for the very first time on YouTube. Very exciting. Very exciting day for me anyways. Okay. So this is centered. We can see that that's centered. And I'd like to change the sphere from a standard sphere to a hexahedron, because I just like these more. Hmm. 32 is probably fine. Okay, so I'm going to make this sphere editable using the C hotkey. You can also use this button down here if you would like to. So there we go, we've got an editable sphere to work with. And I feel like this octopus's head is a little bit more oval, and it's also angled this way a little bit. So I want to do that, I know. I'd like to work with this in symmetry potentially, so I might turn this on in a moment. I'd also like to make this octopus a little bit cute, so I'm thinking he needs some big cute eyes, similar to our sketch. So we're making this little guy up here. He's cute. That's what we're working on. And he needs two eyes. So I'm just gonna place this here as a reference. Gonna be a little bit lower. He can be a little bit of a stylized guy, and I'm going to add in a symmetry so we can have eyes on both sides of him. And we need to make sure that the symmetry is set to X, so I changed that. You can see it's lining up. He's got two eyes. He's actually pretty cute. I might drop down these eyes a little bit. That seems like a better proportion. And then I want to use my grab brush. I'm going to go into sculpting mode. I hit this button up here. We're in sculpting mode now. I just thought it'd be easier to grab my grab brush from here. So I grabbed this tool here on the left. I'm going to make it more like this. Oh, now is a good time to turn on symmetry. So I turn on symmetry. And I want to have it go in the Z, turn off the X in the settings. So you can do that with this little gear over here, and then symmetry. just gonna start moving things around. And, you know, don't worry too much about everything being perfect. That's not really the point. We're here to learn and practice and make things. And if you make a mistake, that's an awesome learning opportunity. I know it's not always fun in the moment, but it happens and it's okay. I'm thinking I want to go back into standard mode. I mostly just wanted to change the shape of that here for a moment. And I'm thinking about how I want to build off of this guy. So I'm going to solo him for a moment. Maybe with the eyes. I don't know. I feel like the eyes help me imagine him as an actual octopus. So I'm going to keep the eyes on for a moment. And I'm thinking there's multiple tools we could use here. We could extrude this. We could also use the, where is it? Matrix extrude. This is also an option. So I don't think I need variation for this. I feel like there's a way to, I might need to make these all one polygon so that they don't look like that. Huh. Okay. See, I told you it would be problem solving, as always. So what we need to do is we need to make this one polygon. So we need to melt these or dissolve them. There we go. So I just hit the dissolve button. You can also find that in other places. The hotkey for it is also MN, so you can do that. Either way works, just, you know, you have options there. And then I'm going to try using that matrix tool. I'm going to, so you know how to get in here. I used Shift C and then I started searching in here, matrix. And then we have our matrix extrude. I just want to add this since I feel like we're going to be using it a little bit for the octopus. So I'm just going to add this guy in here. And oh man, I need to click that polygon first. Click the polygon you want to use and then matrix extrude it. And I mean, yeah, is this going to change? Is this the final formation? Absolutely not. But it's a good place to start. So I'm going to definitely need to do that. And the more interesting thing is I really was doing this even though I have symmetry on. So that's a little weird. You can probably fix that with the hotkey MH for symmetrize, and now he's symmetrical. That works, so I'm doing that. Going to grab these here, and we can use the hotkey MN for dissolve, and we'll do the same thing. And grab that matrix. And again, as you're doing this, you have options like rotate. You can change the degrees in which this is rotating in various directions. So I think it's the one on the left when I hit MH that I have it set up for. So I'm probably just going to do something like this for now, and then hit MH. Now he's symmetrical, but you can see that crossed the line, so we ended up with some extra geometry. I'm just gonna delete this stuff down here. I have visible only off so that I can easily delete that. I feel like this guy needs to be smoothed out a little bit, but we can do that in a little bit. I want to just focus on giving him some legs. And he doesn't have to look exactly like my sketch. That was just to get some ideas out of my head. You can give yourself some freedom from your sketches. They don't have to be exact. Try things out in 3D. See how they feel to you. So maybe something like that for now is fine. So we have 1, 2, 3, both sides. We need more legs. So I'm going to grab these guys, MN, to dissolve, and then we should be able to select both of these. This is going to be quite the process making this guy. And then we're going to use this guy again, this matrix extrude, and you can see we have a problem here. So I'm going to do this with the symmetry off. And I'm going to use MK to create a slice right there. I want to make sure that I have visible only on, so that I'm not like cutting through the whole model. I'm just cutting through that part, because all we need are these little areas here. So I have that. Well, actually, I'll do it on this side so that when I use symmetrize, the hotkey MH, we just get it to work where we need it to work. So I'm going to use this tool again. The hotkey for it is MX. You can also use it that way. Just keep that in mind. Thinking like this to go the other way. And I mean, these aren't going to be staying in this state. I'm going to move these legs around. But this is a good place to start off with. And then our hotkey for symmetrize, MH again. And now he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legs. And I mean, we're going to adjust these further. We do have a problem where these legs are being welded. So I might need to move this over before so. So I'm going to go into selection mode after I hit undo. And as soon as I do that, I really need to turn on this soft selection. Gonna enable it. And just gonna move this guy over. I know we're kind of moving other stuff. It's fine though. I'm not worried about it because everything will be symmetrical again when we hit MH. There we go. Symmetry. So we have this basic octopus. I'm going to unhide this, and you can see he is intersecting stuff now, which is a problem. So I'm going to go back to sculpting mode so that I can more easily grab the grab brush, as we do. I'm working on this. I'm going to name this. And let's grab our grab brush. We just need to kind of move things around at this point. Oh, I'm grabbing the inflate brush. I need the grab brush. Grab. There we go. Just gonna move things up. I should probably turn back on symmetry for this just to make my life easier. So there we go. If we want to grab one part without grabbing everything, we can turn on the surface distance, and then that sometimes helps. I feel like this is hard to do while this is so opaque, so I'm going to find our pinball machine here, and oh, here we go. I just want to make these things transparent so that they're easier to work. So what you can do is you can click on your parts and turn on X-ray under the basic. And there we go. We can see through it. Much easier to move around his legs this way. I need the grab brush. We have the surface distance on. Now we can see it through the object, which makes things easier. And we can just place this guy. Oh, I don't want him to intersect with the other leg though, so we're gonna need a Be careful as we move him around. So I mean, it's a process, and it's actually easier to do this with a Cintiq and a pen. And I actually do have one, but it's on my other screen, and I'm recording on this one currently. I might move over eventually, but you can get away with doing this with your mouse to a certain degree. The nice thing about using a Cintiq and modeling that way, doing the sculpting, is that you can actually have a pressure-sensitive mouse, and the pressure-sensitive mouse can give you greater control. He needs to have his leg, I think, inflated a little bit, so that tool we accidentally used before, the inflate tool, this time we're using it on purpose. You can see I inflated things I didn't mean to. I'll hit undo, try this again. So that is the challenging part. And you'll notice that as I stretched out his legs, I feel like they don't really have enough geometry. Initially, I'll just smooth things out with the smooth brush a little bit. And then I think I'm going to add in some more edges. So we can do that with ML, that hotkey. And I'm just going to add in more edges. But while I'm doing this, I want to make sure that I have preserve curvature on, so that it kind of follows the curvature of our existing object as I'm doing this. So I'm just adding in edges. You can even click this plus to add in more. We clearly need some more polygons in here. So I'll go on through here. I'm probably going to need to smooth out his legs a little bit, and that's okay. We can smooth this guy out. Let's go ahead and add in the smooth brush. We can decrease the strength a little bit because this can be a little intense using it. I like smoothing things out and then inflating them. So here is our inflate. Haha, that looks much better. I'm gonna also inflate up here. It's very easy to overinflate things, so you gotta be careful. Get that right angle in there so you just inflate it just right. I want to smooth out this transition here, so I'm just going to smooth that out around these legs. Not have quite of harsh creases. He's an octopus. He's not a robot. We don't need such hard edges on an octopus. Okay, so I'm just going to smooth these guys out. I still have my symmetry on. Oh, this is so fun. I feel like this looks better than my sketch, actually. I like how his legs kind of wrap around it like he's doing now. So feel free to get creative. What if he was holding little seashells? That could be fun. Maybe we need to have him hold some seashells. This is what I'm talking about. You're allowed to change your mind about what you're doing. You're allowed to sketch something and then think of something while you're 3D modeling and totally change things. And that's just a part of the creative process. Creativity is very fluid, and it helps to have some kind of structure of process. But ultimately, the creative process, and I'm holding down Shift to use the smooth, by the way, right now. The creative process is very fluid. It's very messy. And it doesn't fit well into a box. And everyone's process is a little bit different. And I think that's one of the things that also makes creativity hard, is that there's not one right way of doing it. And I think that a lot of people find that scary, just like the unknown, the lack of standards. But there are standards to this process. They're just a little bit more flexible than perhaps standards in other industries. Okay, we're gonna move this up here. And it does help to have some kind of structure, some kind of process. You did see that I went through that whole process of doing the research on pinball machines, how they work. I created mood boards. I did research. I did a lot before I reached this point of 3D modeling. I sketched this. There is a process, because that does help. It's just a little bit more of a flexible process. You know, if you're doing a science experiment, it's a little bit less flexible. You got to do things very exact. Okay. He's so cute. I can't even handle this amount of cuteness. I think these legs are too long. They're way too long. What shall I do? I think I'll delete part of his legs. That sounds so mean. But you know, that's how it goes. Going to grab these. Hit delete, use the MD tool, which is short for close polygon hole. And I have grid set, that's my favorite setting. And I'm just gonna close that. Oh, and it did it on both because we have symmetry on. So that's all looking good. And I might make this guy a little bit less symmetrical at the end of this because he's a character. You know, characters can be less symmetrical. It's fine. It's totally fine. Here's my grab. I want to see this leg peeking out a little bit above the other leg, just because I feel like that's more dynamic. I feel like I need to round these out maybe a little bit, or bring these in. Maybe inflate. This is kind of weird because it doesn't seem to be handling the symmetry well. When I hit MH, it kind of corrects it and makes it symmetrical on both sides, but I feel like the process that I'm doing on one side doesn't always show up on the other. But that's why that symmetrize button, MH, is super helpful. Is, you know, to keep that nice. I'm going to add in some more edge loops here. I still have the preserve curvature on, which I feel is very important to keep things nice and rounded on this organic creature form. And then I think I'm fine with these legs kind of just going down the back, so that regardless of where you're standing in that arcade, you're going to see this guy. And he's going to be really cute, and you're going to want to play this game. So here's our grab. I'm going to turn on surface distance again, just so I have a little bit more control. I wish that I didn't have these go out so far. I might turn off the surface distance for these guys. I should have probably positioned these a little bit differently while I was extruding them. I might just, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. Let's rectangle select them. Going to turn off the soft selection, and I'm just going to rotate, but I'm going to rotate from a different axis. So I'm going to enable the axis, I'm going to hit E, move it up, I'm going to rotate from up here, and turn off enable axis, hit R, rotate. Okay, that's not horrible. That's okay. And then I can just smooth it out and it'll be okay. So that's what we're gonna do. Gonna smooth this guy out. So here are our smooths tools. I need to deselect those so that I can smooth out more than that. By the way, a really cool handy thing while you're working on this, if you just want to affect one area and not everything, you can select a loop. Like I can select these loops, and then I can use UF, which is for fill selection, and you can just select these whole areas. And then you can decide to use the tools on these. So I can decide I'd like to inflate this. So I can use the inflate, and it's only inflating that area. Like if I go over here, it isn't affecting it. So that's a really helpful tool if you want to give that a try. There we go. And I'll use MH to make that the same on both. Smooth out again. ML, I feel like we need some loops in here. We need a little bit more detail, some more polygons. We don't need a ton. We don't want this to be super high poly. This area definitely needs more polygons. I'm going to add in a few there, add in a few here. I'm just hitting this plus to add in extra edges. This area needs some more. Inflate. Oh, we need to move his legs so that they're not intersecting the machine as much. For that, we're going to need the grab. And just push him up a little bit. Smooth with shift. Maybe smooth him too much. MH, make sure everything's symmetrical. It might be cool to have these guys wrap around, so I might grab these. I don't want to squish you, I just want to move your legs. Okay, there we go. I think this needs to be inflated a little bit with the inflate brush. Oh, he's so cute. Okay, grab. If you're new to sculpting, you're going to have a lot memorized by the end of this video. So this is an awesome start. I want to do a little bit more work up here around the eye, so I'm going to use ML. I'm going to add in some loops here. And what I really want to do is, you know what, maybe we'll make some stylized eyes. I'm going to duplicate the octopus eye, and I'm going to name this eyelid. So now we have two. I might change this to be a hemisphere. Make it a little bit bigger. I'm holding Alt while hitting this right arrow just to make it a little bigger. And I'm just going to rotate. So now he has some little eyelids here, which are cute. And now he has some eyelids. I'm going to go ahead and thicken these with the thicken generator. So I want this in here. That's way too much. So I'll take that down to 0.1 and see what that looks like. It's better. Let's try 0.2, 0.3. We can try, I don't think we need to subdivide this, but we do need a bevel on here. So I'm going to add in a bevel. And I'm going to subdivide that bevel a couple times so that it's a little bit more rounded. We need this to be on both sides with the symmetry, so I'm going to drop this within our symmetry. And here we go. You may notice that from us symmetrizing this a few times, we did end up with a few extra edges than what we needed. So I'd like to fix that here. If you hit ML, you'll see your options. Sometimes it helps to, sometimes what it helps to do is to recognize where these edges actually stop. It's hard to see. It looks like they stop up there at that pole. So some of them go beyond, some of them don't. So let's see. What may help is if we just actually weld these points together. I'm going to try that. There's always more than one way to fix something, but I'm beginning to think that welding these will be the easiest. So it's this little welding helmet here. That's the tool we're using. And we just snap these together in the center. We want these to be centered, so we need it to be, actually, what will make it easier for all of you to see what I'm doing. So I hit Control D to open up the scene settings. If you go into your display, you can adjust your clipping, and I'll change it to be tiny, and that'll allow us to zoom in really close before it starts clipping. You can see how I can weld this to the center or to one of these points. I want to weld this to the center. So that's what I'll do, and I need to just fix that along here. Make sure that these points are going to the center. Another important thing to keep in mind is that you want visible only on, so you're not welding other things on your model that you don't mean to, that you can't see. You want to weld and select only what's visible. So make sure to have visible only on. And we'll weld these together. Much better. I'm going to solo this so that I can go around the entire octopus a little bit easier. Weld once again. We could even weld this area in here, but I don't mind. And the fact that there are triangles on the back of the head here, I don't think they're that noticeable. So I think it's okay because of the location. And the end goal is to ultimately put this in the voxel mesher. I'm going to turn on the volume builder again. I'm going to drop the octopus in here. I'm really not totally sure if I want to do this the exact same way or not. That actually looks okay. That looks pretty cool. I'm not against this. It's always a little bit intimidating working on something when you're not really sure how it's going to look at the end of it. Especially if you're adventurous like me and you decide you're going to put it on YouTube, your entire design process, including your mistakes. Most people don't do that. Most people are too scared to do that. And I can't really blame them. But there we go. I'm really happy. I'm so happy. I think something that I may do a little bit further along in this process is add in some final details and add in a little bit of asymmetry possibly. I might have him hold some seashells. I'm going to see how I feel about it, but I might sleep on this project before I make those final decisions. I'm so happy with this. Something that I might want to fix are these legs. Something we could try to have them show up a little bit more is just inflating them. So I'm going to turn off those two, and yeah, you can see that these are getting pretty narrow. I'll go back into our sculpting mode so that I can more easily grab these tools. I'm going to just move these legs out to start off with. And I'm going to inflate them with the inflate brush right over here. They're just getting a little bit too thin to show up. And I think I'll move these out a little bit more too. So I'll need the grab. Need that little grab brush there. Going to save my work. I'll go back into standard mode because I think I'm done with that. And I just want to see what this is looking like. I thought I was done with that. You can see here that I still want his leg to be fully connected, so I just need to thicken that a little bit more. Going back into our sculpting tools. Grabbing our inflate brush. And as soon as I do that, you can begin to see more of his leg show up. And I'm doing this with the voxel grid control on, so that's also something you may find helpful. So 3D modeling this octopus is enough, I think, for today's episode, and I'm excited to work on more elements of this pinball machine with you soon. If you found this episode fun or helpful, please give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to be notified when the next episodes come out, please hit subscribe and ring that bell. And if you have any questions at all or want to tell me about the projects or what you're 3D modeling, I'd love to hear about your projects. You can let me know what you're working on in the comments or share questions and help each other out. This is an awesome 3D modeling community, so feel free to leave below any of your thoughts. And I hope to see you here next time on Ambient 3D Animations, where we'll continue working on this pinball machine.